welcome back to my channel Endless Pages. I'm Liv and welcome to today's video, which is my September reading wrap up. Hello, it's time to talk about what I read in the month of September. Get ready for negativity. This whole wrap up is going to be negative. If you know me, that's probably not going to surprise you, but wow, what a reading month this was. I read 4 books in the month of September and 3 of them I absolutely hated. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting wrap up. I'm actually surprised that I managed to read so much because I was just reading book after book that I wasn't liking. So it should be an accomplishment that I finished 4 books this month. The first book I read in the month of September was The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. This was a ride. So this is my second attempt at an Alex Michaelides book, and let's just say the second and final attempt. This is a thriller like The Silent Patient. I read The Silent Patient a couple of years ago now. I can't remember how long ago, and absolutely hated it. And I believe this is his debut, so I thought I would at least attempt it before I unhauled it, which was a mistake. Yeah, so this is set in Cambridge in the UK at this college where our main character, who is now well into adulthood and she's like a group therapist, she went to this college when she was younger, and I want to say it's her niece that now goes there, who is in her care, now goes to this college, and a murder occurs. The niece's friend is murdered, and then our main character goes over there to kind of comfort her and just kind of gets pulled into the investigation of like who killed this young girl that was murdered. And then there's this kind of other aspect of this, how do they describe it? It's like a cult like group, like they call it like a secret society kind of thing, who is led by this male professor there who yeah, that's kind of the basic plot. And our main character, the therapist, whose name I can't even remember, Mariana, she kind of ends up getting involved in the investigation. Full disclaimer, I went into this book with the attitude that I had a chance of not enjoying it because it was dark academia, and I in the past, when I bought so many more books, was buying dark academia books because they were trendy. I don't think I like dark academia. So that is a bit of a disclaimer that I went into this book with that attitude of like, I probably won't like the vibe of this book. And I absolutely didn't. I don't think that's my only issue with the book. I think this is a poorly written book, to be honest. And if I could describe this book in one word, it would be pretentious. This feels like one of the most pretentious things I've ever read. It felt like it was made a dark academia setting and a setting in like a, you know, fancy British university, so the author could try and show you how smart he is. Like it was just like, oh, it was so pretentious. Like every page had these like scripture references and Greek mythology. It was like, how can I show the reader that I'm really smart academic and then write a plot around that? So I was rolling my eyes at this book. I was like, I get it. You're smart, you're well read, like you're academic. You don't have to prove that to me. I'm good. I don't need to know that. I found Mariana really unlikable. It's kind of been a theme in both of his books that I've read so far of like having a therapist as a main character. There was the therapist main character in his other book, The Silent Patient, and now the therapist character in this book, The Maidens. And I have the same issue that I had in The Silent Patient. I don't think he actually knows what a therapist does or what a therapist should look like or the qualities a therapist should have. I feel like both of his therapist characters, both in The Silent Patient and in this book, are poorly written. They're bad therapists. Very, very, very bad therapists. Like, would not hold a license in real life. Just, they make decisions that I don't think a therapist would do, and they get themselves involved in situations that I don't think therapists would get themselves involved in. I don't know, I'm not a therapist, I couldn't tell you, but I don't know. Common sense would make me think that this character as a therapist wouldn't use that skill to get herself pulled into an investigation and use that to try and read people. Yeah, so I'm not really explaining this well. So she's a therapist, she's a group therapist, and she wants to try and figure out what happened to this girl. So like 10 pages into this book, she's suddenly in the investigation. Like, it's one of those things where they're like, they're smarter than the police. So yeah, she then decides, because she's a therapist, she suddenly has the skills to be a detective because she's good at reading people. Which, yeah, I guess that would be an element of investigation, like body language and all of that kind of stuff, whether people are telling the truth or not. Sure, I'm sure that would be a part of it. But I don't know, what annoys me about these kind of books is there's like no evidence. It's all like, there's no physical evidence. They just skip over the whole point of an investigation, which is to get both motive and physical evidence to, you know, make sure the perpetrator is punished for what they do, or not punished, but faces the law for what they do. And I just hate that there's just like no physical evidence ever in any of these books, and that just irks me. Yeah, and the fact that she thinks she can solve a crime, like, I'm so sorry, what? This book was so stupid. I found the reveal utterly frustrating, and honestly I really wasn't that surprised. I think I've said this a million times before, I really struggle to DNF thriller books because I'm like, maybe the ending is worth it, maybe I'm being impatient. And every time I read a bad thriller, I kind of blame myself for a lot of it, thinking like, I'm just being impatient, we got to build up to it, we got to get context. But it was absolutely not worth the build up. I rolled my eyes. I think I said out loud, are you fucking kidding me? For the ending. So it was utterly ridiculous. I think another one of my issues with this book is, normally in thrillers, you know, you got a couple of suspects, not normally, but sometimes you got a couple of suspects and there's a couple to throw you off who's really the perpetrator. And there was a character in this book that was really suspicious from like, I don't know what page, from like page 20, like from the character's first interaction with them, you're like, whoa, this person is icky and sus and 100% could have killed a woman. You know what I mean? But we spent the whole book focused on this character. Like, our main character was convinced they did it and just kind of had this like tunnel vision of, I think this person is icky, so therefore they killed the woman. Which is a fair assumption, yeah. Yeah, you could definitely see how a character could think this kind of person would be the one to violently attack and murder women. Sure. But the tunnel vision meant by the time we actually started the reveal, it wasn't as satisfying because we'd just been focused on this one character that didn't really have much to do with it in the end. So it just kind of felt like it wasn't all worth it, and that character didn't have a satisfying part of this, or it didn't have a satisfying reason for why that person didn't do it, but why they look suspicious, if that makes any sense. So that just added to the ending being even more unsatisfying because our character just had tunnel vision this whole time. So we didn't really get to have fun exploring other possibilities or chasing other like leads. It was this one lead the whole book. Even if there was connections that weren't properly made, even if she wasn't actually making that much progress proving this person was guilty, we didn't get have any fun exploring any other options. Like, I'll admit, I didn't see one of the endings coming of one of the perpetrators. Sure, that did shock me. I was like, okay, you got me there. So I will give Alex Michaelides credit for doing that. But I thought the writing was really bad. For a guy that was trying to show how smart he was, the writing was really bad, and the only thing academic or smart about it was all like the Greek tragedy references or academic references or quotes that he put in this book, to be honest. Other than that, I thought the writing was quite poor in quality, and I just don't think I like Alex Michaelides' writing style at all. This book absolutely should have been DNF'd. Absolutely, 100% should have been DNF'd. I ended up giving it 2 stars. I think when I finished, I put in the bookish group chat like, thank God I never have to read an Alex Michaelides again, because oh my God, I've had a horrible time with both of them. And yeah, I should have DNF'd this. Book number 2, Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. This is my first ever experience of Naomi Novik. Probably maybe not the best to start with. Maybe should have started with some of her older stuff. Don't know if I ever will now. I also did not enjoy this book. Surprise, surprise. This is, again, dark academia. Oh, and this is lesson 1 of the Scholarmance series, which I will not be continuing. So this is kind of dark academia in this magical school. In this world, people have powers and you can go to this school to train, to use your powers, learn magic, learn skills, language, spells, all that kind of stuff. But it's kind of a bit of a strange school. There's no teachers, no classes. You're just kind of left to do your own thing and learn. It's kind of magical how you learn. You know, books kind of just get dropped on your desk. And there's also a huge danger at this school. There's these creatures that I kind of, in my mind, compared it to like Percy Jackson. So in the demigods in Percy Jackson, if you know, their demigodness kind of attracts creatures. It's the same in this book. They are, these horrible creatures are kind of attracted to the magic, and the school is constantly trying to kill them. The monsters in the school and the school itself is constantly trying to kill the students as they learn. So it's just kind of about a main character trying to survive a year at this school. My biggest beef with this book was the excruciating detail. Absolutely excruciating amount of detail that was provided in this book. I was bored shitless. Absolutely bored shitless. So the literal plot of this book is literally watching her day to day. That's it. I mean, there's kind of more of a plot at the end. By that point, I was so annoyed I didn't care. But for like 90% of this book, you are just watching her do her day to day at this school. And it is described in insane amount of detail. Way too much detail. Basically, like, I woke up and then there was a monster under my bed, so then I checked my chair, and then I did this spell, and then I went and met up with these people, and then we walked to the cafeteria, and then we checked the food for monsters, and then I checked under my chair for monsters. Everyone is dumb, blah blah blah, I'm better than everyone, blah blah blah. And then we went to this class, and then I went here, and then I went did this, and then we that, like, that was the kind of detail that was provided, and that was on every single fucking page. It was so boring. Like, I feel like it was like just sitting there and watching her do her day to day. And the more I read, the more I was like, I'm really hoping for a kind of an overarching plot to kick in, because it feels like at this point something should happen. I'm okay with the school setting. I am okay with watching her day to day for a little bit, but then I need something to disrupt that day to day. I need an overarching plot to kind of kick in, which doesn't really happen until right at the end. But even then, we're still having that excruciating level of detail about what she did every day, from the moment she woke up, from the morning to the moment she went to bed. And I mean, the overarching plot didn't really last that long anyway, and didn't really have that much impact on the story, to be honest, or didn't really have that many consequences. Maybe in the next books it will, but at the end of this book there was no consequences, really. Minor consequences. And I just felt like it should have been a plot that should have been introduced, and I don't know, leave it on a cliffhanger, or have a major complication to the plan, or have a consequence that continues on for the rest of the series. Give us some tension, some purpose. Give us so our characters for something to work through. Give me a reason to want to absolutely read this book. It was excruciating. I should have DNF'd it. Absolutely, I should have DNF'd it. But I was so annoyed that I wasn't finishing books that I just absolutely pushed through, and I dreaded this every time I picked it up. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. The main character also really annoyed me. I think you're meant to feel sympathetic towards her because she was kind of an outcast in this school. There's kind of like these, I can't remember what they were actually called, clans or coven type groups of people that kind of had all the alliances or friendships, and she's very much an outcast, and I think you're meant to feel sorry for her. But she has this superiority complex that's very grating to read page after page, and very, very annoying, to be honest. So I didn't really feel sympathetic to her like I was meant to. There's also kind of meant to be an enemies to lovers kind of romance, like, or maybe not enemies to lovers, maybe like academic, like rivals to lovers, maybe I'd describe it as enemies / rivals to lovers. Very one-sided rivalry as well. Like, he doesn't really know she exists and she fucking hates him, so that kind of makes it sad, because like it's a very one-sided rivalry. And then by the time that kind of evolves into lovers, I don't really give a shit. It just kind of came out of nowhere. They just suddenly like liked each other, which was just bizarre, and there was no lead up, or you didn't, for a book that had excruciating detail, you didn't get any detail about her feelings starting to change or grow in that much depth, which is crazy to say that something was not in depth in this book because everything else was in depth. This was very, very disappointing. It's kind of put me off trying her other book, but her other book is more fantasy than academic, I think, so maybe I'll like her older stuff better. Let me know if I should still try Uprooted at some point. I've heard fantastic things about it. I was very disappointed that I didn't like this book, but again, was I that surprised? Dark academia? No. I will be glad to unhaul this book straight away and never ever have to read it again. I also gave this book 2 stars. The third and final book, I will tell you why I'm not going to talk about the fourth book that I'm going to talk about that I read in September. I listened to on audio, and I've forgotten the title, so I'm looking at my phone. I think it's called The Business Trip. Yes, The Business Trip by Jessica Garcia. This was a thriller that, again, I didn't like. Oh my god, this reading month was cursed. This is about a business trip, obviously. So we kind of follow 2 women in this book. One who is kind of a corporate woman who works for like this news company, and then we follow this other woman who is Jasmine, who is escaping from a very abusive relationship. And then all of a sudden these 2 women both vanish at the same time. They both vanish and both have kind of texted friends and family that they've met this guy called Trent, and we kind of see how see, there was so much potential in this book, and I really thought I was really going to like it because it's kind of, you see snippets of these women with these strange text messages they start sending, and both of these missing women say they've met this amazing guy called Trent. So I thought it was going to be really interesting. The audiobook was good. I think the narrators did a really good job, so I liked the audio kind of aspects of this book. The male audio narrator did a really good job of making this Trent character really unlikable. He's a very like toxic masculinity, like anti-woke man, and the narrator just did this voice that was perfect and just made you absolutely hate him even more. So I will say one good thing about this book was the narrator, the male narrator and the female, but mainly the male narrator was fantastic at making me absolutely despise Trent. Like I said, I feel like this book had so much potential to be really, really interesting, and at the start I was enjoying it. Kind of the build up to the mystery was really good. I liked Jasmine's character at the start. I thought she was a very strong woman, and I was like inspired by her ability to escape this abusive relationship, and I was very intrigued of how these 2 women's stories would collide, and I was really intrigued at the start because we were getting snippets from both the missing women from their friends and family's perspectives. We were getting like little weird text messages that weren't quite them. We were getting some weird audio voice notes, and then you'd hear nothing from them. So it was a really good build up at the start. I don't know how far in, but like maybe like 30-40% of the way in, it lost that interesting aspect, and that's when the silliness kind of began. Then it got really silly, really weird, really quickly. Jasmine's character just, I don't know, all of a sudden just seems to morph into this different character, and we slowly see how she kind of gets to this point, but it just feels really like dropped on you with no, we don't really slowly see how she got there, do we? It just feels very like dropped on you that suddenly she's a very different person. I feel like it would have been better if we had like little hints, little very subtle hints that she's this type of person that we didn't think she is, and I thought that would be more effective than just dropping it on you that she's like crazy like absolutely insane, and has done suddenly some very bad things in her past. So yeah, that feels very dropped on you and not built up very well. I did not like the second half of this book at all. I thought it was, like I've just said a million times, it was silly. The reveal was very unsatisfying, very yeah, just not well written, and I was not thrilled by this book. It was not very thrilling, to be honest. That just, once it got to the 50% mark, there was just no tension. I wasn't scared for our characters anymore. I wasn't thrilled. I wasn't like, you know, blown away by twists and turns. So what started as a book with really good potential just really fell flat, which was so disappointing because so many people recommended this audio. And I understand why this was audio recommended as a good audio thriller to read, because I think the audiobook is well done. It's the book itself that's not good. So yeah, a really cool idea that just really fell flat for me, unfortunately. And I did end up rating this 3 stars. So those are the 3 books that I'm going to talk to you about. Like I said, I did read a 4th, which was First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. This will be seen in a reading vlog, so I don't really feel like the need to talk about it again, but that is the 4th book I read this month, in case you were like, Olivia, you said you read 4 books earlier. So just providing some context there. So those are the 4 books I read in the month of September. I only talked about 3, obviously, but let me know in the comments below. Do you think I was too harsh on these books? Have you read Alex Michaelides' books? Am I the only one in feeling that his books are shit? Because I feel like lots of people loved The Silent Patient. And do you think I should give Naomi Novak's older stuff a shot? Do you think I have more of a chance of liking that? Let me know in the comments below. Give this video a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you'd like to see more of my content. All my social media links are in the description below, and I'll see you in whatever the hell I post next. Bye!